Thank you to the ranking member and to Mrs. Moore for that. Not entirely prepared for the time, but I do feel very strongly about this, and so thank you. I really appreciate the yielding the time. Look, the subjects don't get a lot more complicated than interest paid on excess reserves, but something is that there are two things that are pretty uncomplicated, and those two things are why I am here. Number one, there's a certain irony to the Congress of the United States holding the Fed up for scrutiny for their conduct of monetary policy since the crisis of 2008. With the exception of the American Recovery Act, which was profoundly controversial and partisan here, Congress has utterly and completely abnegated its role to conduct the kind of fiscal policy that classical economics and most economists would say we should have done. Yes, we passed the Recovery Act, and that was about $800 billion of fiscal stimulus. Most economists today, those who are driven by empirical analysis, would tell you that that was too little and too heavy on tax cuts and not heavy enough on infrastructure investment and the kind of things that actually put Americans back to work. Okay, so we had that fiscal stimulus. That was important. Since then, since 2009, the Congress has completely abdicated the role that economists across the political spectrum would say we should do, which is to continue with classic fiscal stimulus. So in the context of the Congress completely abnegating its fiscal role, we have had no other game in town but for the monetary policy conducted by the Federal Reserve. And you know what? We highlight the word innovative around here, and we say we want them to be innovative. Yes, their policies with the twist and with QE2 were innovative. They were different than the conduct of monetary policy, but because of the Federal Reserve's policy, including the payment of interest on reserves, we have what is, without question, the most robust recovery amongst industrialized OECD nations, however you want to play it. And I've asked this question of Chairman Bernanke time and time again. Now, this is a complicated thing, but we need to talk more about the fact that this is a transaction with two parts. Yes, we pay about $7 billion, or the Fed pays about $7 billion. Meanwhile, the Fed is returning about $100 billion to the United States Treasury. Those are the two halves of this transaction, and I do hope we have an opportunity to discuss that in this hearing. And I thank the ranking member for the time. And yield back.